Kelly's Eye, brought to you by Ellis Brown Architects.
Peter, what's Kelly's Eye looking at today?
Today, David, I'm looking at the gate and path that goes nowhere.
Yes. Directly across, there's a building which looks as if it's been refurbished, and it has no, as it were, front door now, whereas the others in this terrace had.
Well, it never had a front door. It had a side door. There's a terrace of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can that be right? Anyway, looks like 9 houses. But the end two, which project forward, were very cleverly designed by John Robinson, the architect, back in the 1840s, and they had their doors on the side.
So that gate has never had any real purpose anyway?
Other than to get into the garden. The front garden.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are we looking at a refurbished building here?
No, we're looking at a brand new building. We're down on Douglas Promenade, and we're looking at Clarence Terrace. Now, people sort of know the Esplanade, and sometimes they get which one is the Esplanade wrong. You start with the Central Hotel, or what was, then you got Clarence Terrace, then you got the Esplanade, which is the one with the 2 big pediments. So Clarence Terrace, designed by Robinson, who also did the Esplanade, and when built, they had this continuous first floor balcony, continuous in the sense that each property had it, but they were divided off. So from French windows, which were put in from day one, you could access your own balcony. Now, what's happened here on the end house, which is presumably number 9 if I counted right, there was a planning application some years ago to demolish it and rebuild it. It was turned down and it went through the system. And then it came back again and obviously got permission, and so the whole of the property was demolished, taken right down. It was similar to the others. It had an outlet, and the outlet ran along the lane at the side, but it had a yard in behind. And what they've done, they put a steel frame up and they've built new apartments. I think it says there 8 2-bedroom luxury apartments occupying the whole of the site. So there's no yard, there's no external clothes drying facilities or anything like that. It's solid building right through. But on the front facade, they've faithfully copied what was alongside. So starting at the top, there's a string course running through. Unfortunately, what they had not realised is that the flat band that they've got, which is painted yellow underneath green,
Yes.
should actually have a projection on, like a cornice moulding.
Right.
Then we get the first floor top floor windows, 2 together. We get the pilasters coming down, which matches the rest of the terrace. But as you'll see, they've got what I presume to be gas central heating boiler balanced flue sticking out. But why they had to put them in the pilaster and not tuck them alongside in the wall, I really don't know, because it wouldn't have been so obvious then. Then we come down to the first floor, and there again they've faithfully copied the corbels and dripstone above.
They're like almost a little balcony in their own, aren't they? They're very large, really.
They are large, yeah. Then we get the French windows. Now, again, there's been alterations in the others over the years. I mean, 2 doors away, and they've got sash windows, but they weren't. If you look, here's an old postcard. They were all French windows, right along. It was quite an innovation, of course, at the time. Where they've gone wrong, they've copied the balcony, but they've made it 2 balconies, 1 to each French window, whereas in fact the original one was the full length of the building. I think what they've done, they've sort of looked at next door in the Esplanade, where between the big pillars there are small balconies, and these could actually be falsed up. You could put a little pattern in between and make it look like it should.
Yeah.
And then on the ground floor, where there were long windows before, they've shortened them somewhat, and then the basement windows are now louvers, and they're louvers for a purpose. And they, when you compare them with the adjoining properties, are about a foot too high. It would have been better if they brought those down and brought the French window. I realise the floor is probably in there, but they could have falsed it with a sort of step. Up on top there's a dormer. It's a lot bigger than the Victorian dormer which appeared. It's not too obtrusive. It's over to one side.
They would have had chimneys, the Victorians, on here.
Well, on the right-hand side, they haven't built a false chimney, which is a great shame because it's lost the balance if you look at the terrace, and they could actually have obscured the dormer a bit better by putting it against the chimney.
They haven't pleased you entirely with this, but if you do look along there now, it's not a bad effort to match the rest.
No, I would say 8.5 out of 10 for what they've done. But before we go, let's just have a quick look round the side.
We've managed to manoeuvre Douglas Promenade without being hit by a vehicle.
Right. Well, we've come round the side. We've still got this colour scheme of yellow, green and white. Must be a support. Is it Norwich Union, the Canaries or something? Anyway, on the side gable, the pilasters are still there and the mouldings, etc. And one moulding. Notice between the pilasters there's a gap up there. I presume it was intended to take a drain. But they rang the moulding over, sort of supported by nothing. And then where the pilasters go up, they stop off. And admittedly, that's what the building was like, except originally there was another string course through there, lining up, which had been taken off at some times. But I mean, if they'd looked at old photographs, or the conservation officer had advised them or whatever, they'd have finished it properly. But of course, it's lost the squared chimney. But when we come down, all this gable now is a series of big openings, no doors, just big openings to take cars. I do hope there will be doors or shutters, because security is a problem. But look at the front door.
Well, it hasn't been built in there yet.
Well, it hasn't, but I mean, it's so low, squat. It's like a garage door on a single garage. You've got this marvellous big building now. You've even got apartments on the rear with balconies that admittedly only look into the side or the backs of some others. But what a letdown.
So it should be a grand entrance.
Well, the one that was here before had an arched head and a fanlight. What they've done is just squeeze this in, and no matter what they try to do it with mouldings or whatever, it'll never be what it should be. So I'm afraid, with all the bits that's missing off the side, probably -6, so that leaves us 2.5 out of 10.
Many of the most iconic buildings around the island have been designed by Ellis Brown Architects. Keep up with Ellis Brown today on Facebook or via ellisbrown.im.